All right. So being a bisexual man is weird and it's frustrating and can be easily misunderstood. And honestly, some days it's just exhausting. This isn't one of those love is love, sugar coated videos. This is just me being real about my experience as a bisexual man in 2025, I guess. And honestly, this world doesn't even know what to do with us most of the time, but that's okay. So, for further context, for me, my sexual attraction is a 50-50 split. Some days I want to be with the girls, other days I want to be with a guy, and then most days I don't want to deal with either. It's just kind of a drag for me. It's not because I'm confused, I'm clear on what I like and what I want. It's just being attracted to both men and women can be very, very annoying for different reasons. I think my attraction comes with a very unique perspective on both sides of the aisle of dating. I understand why women are sick of men, and I understand why men are sick of women. I know there are extremist views on the entire subject as a whole. You know, there are people who put all the blame on one gender, or all the blame on men, or all the blame on women, or yada yada yada. But for me, I think the blame is on both sides, and I think it's less of a gender issue and more of a people issue. People just generally suck for the most part. It just is what it is right now. Um, and that's just from my experience. It's always something. I think that like with men, it's easy. They're easier to get with, but it's harder to form actual connections of genuine intimacy. But with women, it's kind of like the opposite. They're a lot harder to get with, but it's a lot easier to build that intimate connection with them. So it kind of depends on what you want, um, and what you aim towards. And sometimes that kind of fluctuates. Sometimes you want the intimacy, and sometimes you want the hookup, and sometimes you want a little bit of both. But like I said, it's not like a this is not like a rule of thumb for every single person, either gender. This is kind of just like a case by case basis. But these are the patterns that I naturally pick up on, and I think I know why. This is a problem for both genders. I think it kind of leads towards approachability. So like let's say if you're a bisexual man or a bisexual woman, I think bisexual women get with each other more than they get with other men for the same reasons why men get with other men instead of other women, more easily. I think it's because there's a lot of societal barriers to get with the opposite gender, whether you're queer or straight. There's just a lot of societal barriers, like such as like approachability. With women, it's way more complex. There's a bunch of factors such as like your intimidation factor. Are you big? Are you like strong built? Do you have a deep voice? Um, do you have a weird smile? Do you just like look scary like automatically? Especially if she's shorter than you. And I'm just gonna be real, especially if it's an interracial relationship or an interracial. I don't know. To me, I feel like white people kind of just see black people as intimidating naturally. Like they just shrivel up and they just jump for absolutely no reason most of the time. And it's like you have to kind of try your best to ignore it, but it does get a little annoying after a while, and it makes it a lot harder to approach people. Um, I think it's easier with like your own race sometimes because it's like that societal barrier of intimidation isn't. It's still there, definitely still there. It's just not as prominent, I should say. It's like the racial factor does kind of make a difference, and it kind of does amplify the anxiety a little bit. This is coming from a black man's perspective. It just it just does, whether I'm dealing with white men or white women. But usually when I'm dealing with black men or black women, it's usually not that deep. Like it might be a little bit of precautiousness, but it's never to the point where it makes shit awkward. Like it's kind of hard to explain, and that just might be because of my personal experience and my specific aesthetic. Like I'm a little bit more cute, I should say. Like I look a little. How should I say it? I don't know how to say it, but yeah, yeah. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, the approachability with women. So the other factors outside of intimidation, you have to see like is she alone? Is she with her friends? And then that kind of changes the trajectory of your thought process of how to approach her too. If she's in a group of people or by herself, but then it's also like, does she already have a boyfriend? Is the boyfriend in the room getting her drink somewhere? I don't know. So you have to approach her in a subtle way and not in so much in a strong way because you don't know what her situation is. Maybe she just doesn't want to talk to anybody. Maybe she's just trying to vibe by herself or vibe with her friends. And then or what if she already decides she's not attracted to you? Because sometimes women will see you from across the room before you see them, and they would have already made up their mind if they're attracted to you or not. So there is that. Or maybe she has mental health issues. Maybe she's crazy. I don't know. But or you ask yourself, am I being a creep by approaching her? And there's always these like insecurity issues that just start to brew up a little bit. Um, or if she does end up talking to you, then there's like a couple more factors you have to go into. You have to ask yourself, am I being boring? Is she just not into me? Is she just smiling so I can go way faster? Are we actually vibing, or is this just all in my head? And that like last part, is it just all in my head? It can go for both genders too, because I think everyone kind of just deals with that. It's like you get so high off like the connection and the clickiness and the vibes of it all. They have to like wonder, is this just all in my head? Am I actually just being weird and delusional? Am I just giving this girl a hard time? Like, yeah, you kind of have to ask yourself that sometimes. But then you also have to think about like chivalry, because some women don't like chivalry anymore. I do it out of like just basic muscle memory. Like I have to tell myself to stop in order to stop, opening a door for someone, or they'll have to tell me to stop. But for the most part, I just do it out of muscle memory. I try to like not let the chivalry stop me from being a decent person. I was just raised that way, so it just is what it is. I kind of see it as a red flag if you don't like chivalry. Sometimes I don't understand that. It's like, wouldn't you want me to do this at some point in a relationship anyway? If it goes anywhere, I don't know. But anyway, for a guy, it's a little bit different. Like I said, if you're a bisexual man, it's easier to get with other bisexual or queer men. Just because you can just go up to them and have a conversation like a regular dude. You don't have to tell them that you're queer until that conversation comes up. You can just vibe with them. Or if you're looking for the hookup on the hookup apps like Grindr and Sniffies, the conversation usually goes something like this: "Hey, what's up? Nothing much. You?" And the other person says horny, shows a dick pic or a body pic. You'll like double tap or double like the pic and said, "Yeah, same." You host, no. You, no. And then you guys will just find a place to meet up randomly. Don't know where that location would be. Wink, wink. Only for one of you to finish, and then you leave. You gain some XP. You go home feeling empty and unsatisfied, but too tired to do anything about it. Take a shower and you go to sleep. It's pretty straightforward. A couple steps there, but it's nothing difficult. Trust me, you'd be surprised how fast something like that interaction would just go with someone. It's very easy. A lot of men are available. A lot of men are just down to f. But yeah, so going back to the women conversation, that was kind of dark. Going back to the women side of it, we pay attention to these things because we don't want to come off as too strong, too weird, or too creepy, or too awkward. But while doing so, we become hyper conscious for our own good. We become too hyper conscious for our own good, and it destroys the magic of the moment. Instead, we look at body language, looking for any signs of distress and discomfort, which is a good thing. But when you look for almost any sign to avoid interacting with someone, it can be a bad thing, because now you're just looking. You're no longer worried about the discomfort. You're just looking for an excuse to escape, which I'm also guilty of. Once we see anything vaguely discomfort or vaguely looks like discomfort, we just give up and avoid it altogether. And I think this is also a defense mechanism to just kind of like avoid social burnout. Our social battery might drain fast, and we're in these type of situations where we have to constantly think of every 2 seconds of the interaction. Um, and even when we do that, we're still kind of drained from it. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes when I think about this stuff, or when these situations come up, I feel like I just lived 4 different alternate realities in a single moment, and I feel like an entire day has been lived in just 5 seconds, and then I just want to go home at that point. So that's the basic gist of it. But for me, that's what I used to kind of do. For me now, I kind of just go off natural vibes. I'm a lot more chillax with it. Um, I don't force connections with either gender. I kind of just like let the cards fall how they fall, and usually that works a lot better than the alternative. Um, because then I'm still in a comfortable space. I'm not putting myself in a space where I have to feel super anxious, and I get my emotional state fucked with because someone just doesn't like me, or yada yada yada. I can still just be chill and just vibe on my own. I think a good thing to learn is how to be okay being by yourself. Not just being single, but just being out and about by yourself. Sometimes you have to be okay being in your own skin. Um, I know a lot of people aren't, hence why they're in these bad relationships, because they don't really want to be alone. But you have to learn how to be okay with being alone. Sometimes you can like being alone. Um, But yeah, anyway, going on to like the misconceptions and the judgment from my community. There's a lot of stupid assumptions thrown at bisexual men. You know, the usual that we're greedy, we're confused, or we're just waiting to come out as gay, or that we're cheap because we have more options. And no offense, those options are not great. Like honestly, you have more options, but you have more options to be disappointed as well. So trust me, it's not great. And I feel like for you to have to explore all these freaking options, you have to be one hell of an extrovert. Um, but yeah, no, sometimes I barely want anyone out. You know, I think attraction doesn't mean I'm lacking self control. It doesn't mean I'm wanting to betray someone. It just means I have the potential to like both genders. Like, um, like emphasis on potential to like both genders. It really is a case by case scenario. I'm not gonna like every single guy I look at. I'm not gonna like every girl I look at. You know, I have first off, it kind of goes with the physical attractiveness first. Then it's kind of like the mental and the personality. Like this is one girl I met, and I was out, bar diving or whatever, and I was drunk, being drunk with my friend, having a good time, and somehow, some way, we ended up talking to this girl, and I was going through a rough time. I didn't realize I was going through a rough time until I was drinking, but like I remember that moment. We were having a serious conversation about parents and getting older and taking care of them, stuff like that. So, and that was like a really intimate moment that I had with that girl. I knew like from that night on, I could almost never have that much intimacy with another man. That was rare. And she doesn't know me. I didn't know her. She was cool. I was cool. We were actually vibing. We were connecting. I did get her Snapchat, but she never, friended me on Snapchat. But that's fine because the interaction was like still very valuable. Like that was very genuine. And I don't get any connections like that in the real world. So that was just core memory. But yeah, like that. That's kind of like, the reason why I also like women a lot because it's like you can get that intimacy very easily. Whereas men, you can like be with them for decades and they just are stone cold, silent, very like nonchalant about it. They don't go too deep. They'll give you like a one or two word answer or reply and it just feels so empty. So yeah, I think it's kind of just like I don't think the grass is greener on the other side. I think it's more so just like I think being bisexual it means you have to be a lot more careful. I think it does come with some privileges. Like if I go to a different country and if they're not super widely accepting of queer people, I might be able to blend in a little bit more because I can just focus my attraction towards women and I'll be fine. Um, so I think that's like really where our privilege starts and ends. I could be wrong, but that's just how I think. Um, damn, this video is long. I still got a couple more things to say. I think personally, when I'm with women, I feel like I'm constantly on trial. I have to perform a certain version of myself that she will like, polished, palatable, emotionally just right. With men, you can be a lot more relaxed and just be more of yourself. But with women, you kind of have to show up as a certain package of what she perceives a good man to be, um, and that expectation kind of varies from person to person. Like people have different thresholds and different things they put up with, and stuff like that. With men, it's kind of just like a headache of just planning like basic stuff with them. Like you have to plan, even just like not even planning like, events or meeting up with them. It's more so just like texting. We can just talk about texting. So we have the consistency of constantly ghosting, and it's kind of like a game to see who can care less. Everything kind of feels like a game. They don't take anything seriously. Everything's a freaking joke. There's no real intimacy because even like I've had situations where I thought I was being intimate with them, but they would just come out and just say, "Oh yeah, I lied about that. I just want to talk about something." So like you made up this whole story, and I tried to connect with you on something that I thought that was personal, that just ended up being something that was just just to fill up space. I don't know why. I don't know why men do that. Hopefully that's not common, but yeah, that pisses me off when you try to like fake or manufacture intimacy. Um, that really pisses me off. But they men really do like to keep things as casual as possible. I think it kind of builds up a certain level of detachment from the situation. It's like you want to have your cake and eat it too. And then also there's like this huge lack of monogamy in the queer community too, which also annoys me because like, what's the point of being in a relationship? I have to try and I have to care about you and I have to consider you and think about you and do stuff for you, in order to have this, sexual relationship with you. But someone else can basically just get it for free without doing any effort. They just look at you from across the room and it's like, okay, I can screw you now. Like they get the prize of being with you physically without actually having to put in the work. And it just kind of feels like why, it just kind of devalues the relationship a little bit, especially because if we do end up breaking up, you're not going to give a fuck about me. You're just going to sleep with someone else to get over with. And I don't know. Like I said, I think it devalues the relationship. I think it's kind of like open relationships are kind of like an insurance policy. Like, okay, if this person so and so breaks up with me, I have backup number one, backup number two, backup number three and four and five that I can just like lean back on. And it's kind of just like you treat relationships like it's an employment opportunity. Like, okay, if Phil quits tomorrow, I can just hire John, Sue, and Daniel, to fill in their spots. And it's just like that's not how it's supposed to work. And I think we do that to protect ourselves, but honestly, you're just setting yourself up for something that's really fake and disingenuous. But that's just my take on polygamy and stuff. I'm monogamous, but not many people are. And as soon as someone wants to bring up that open relationship conversation, I'm like, I kind of want to dip at that point because something tells me that you either already hooked up with someone else to make you think like this, or you're gonna hook up with someone else if I say no. So I feel like this is just the end of the relationship anyway. Relationships in general just feel impossible, whether you're queer or straight. It just feels like a lot. I think a lot of societal pressures make it so that we don't have enough energy to deal with our relationships or in our own home life as much, such as working long hours, bills racking up, life issues that come up, the fact that like people are not getting paid enough to live. So it's like we have to budget more, and we can't do the things that we actually want to do with the people that we actually love. We always have to settle for a bootleg version of a date, and that kind of wears on you too. And I think that does like apply for modern dating, such as like men not wanting to buy expensive dinner dates for someone you barely know because I mean, I know how to cook personally, so I don't really like restaurants anyway. I can just cook for you, cook a really nice meal. I'll go to the grocery store that day and just make a beautiful feast, and I'll still save some money. But like, I think I just cook a lot better than a lot of these restaurants. I don't get it. I'm gonna wait an hour and a half to get mediocre food that's probably gonna be burnt or taste like rubber, or it's not gonna be the right thing, or you're gonna forget a drink, and on top of that, you want a tip. Just get out of here. But and fuck ambiance. Like it's just wallpaper. It's just wallpaper and some pictures on a damn ceiling. It's That's all it is. The ambiance is the television screen over the bar, um, and everyone's just chit chatting right next to you, so you can't even hear what you guys are even saying. So it's weird to me. But yeah, so that's being bisexual. That's being me being a bisexual man in 2025. It isn't some sexy fantasy or easy lifestyle. It's complicated. It's very isolating, and it's real. But if you can relate to any of this, or you ever felt caught in the middle, tired of everyone, and unsure where you fit in, just want to let you know you're not alone. Uh, leave a comment, share your story, or just hit the like so I know someone gets it. But yeah, I didn't meant for this video to be so long. This was supposed to be like a 5 or 6 minute video. Ended up being almost 20 minutes, so I'm kind of parched. Need some water. But anyway, you guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.